Yes, everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Wolf United. This is tactical because club football is back. That boring international bollocks is done. Hopefully, I'm not lagging too much. I think I've lagged already once, but we'll see. We're previewing the Newcastle game. We're playing Steve Bruce's Tricky Mags. I've got a good show coming up today. I've got James, I've got Stu, I've got Abdel if he bothers to turn up because he's not actually here yet. And I've also got a Newcastle fan in the midst. Yeah, I've managed to get a mag in. This is going to be weird. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're enjoying the hot weather. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're commenting how you're doing right now. And of course, today we're going to be discussing whether that Portuguese fella is game. Will the Portuguese fella get a game? That's the question I'm asking. Oh, I've lagged again. Jesus Christ, I'm lagging in the intro. This is going to be brilliant. Anyway, we're going to be wondering today whether the Portuguese fella is going to get a game. Because it's been a while since I saw Diogo Dalot. Wait, what? What do you mean there's someone else? Him?
Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Oh, that Portuguese fella. Right, okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tactical Preview. I've got James, I've got Ben, and I've got Stu. Hope we're all doing well. We're going to look ahead to the Newcastle game. Of course, I've got a Newcastle fan on with us, Ben McGee. Nice to have you on. Before we jump into the preview, Ben, how are you feeling ahead of this game?
Not confident. If I had any ounce of confidence, Steve Bruce sucks the life out of it. So
I don't know what you're talking about. We love Brucey over here.
Yeah, very much loved over Man United.
This is going wonderfully. No, we love Brucey over here, so I don't know what you're talking about. Brucey's a great manager.
Mate, if we're going to go down this road, we ain't going to get along for this for whatever time we're on here. I'm going to say that for sure.
Well, you have joined a group of Reds, so I don't know what you're expecting to happen in this preview, but we'll see. Hope you're all doing well. Abdel's still not here, so we're just going to keep rolling until he gets here. First things first, international break's done. Let's just talk quickly about...
Did he say international
break? This is worse than usual. International break. Some of the Reds that were on display, what did we make of their performances?
Is that aimed at me?
It's aimed at anyone.
Oh, I actually didn't watch much football over the international break because I like being sane in the mind as much as I can be. But Luke Shaw doesn't play badly ever, so that was nice to see him doing all right against Hungary. Anyway, the game I watched, he did all right. I've heard he was at fault for the goal yesterday, but I didn't watch the game, so I don't know. But yeah. Maguire and Shaw always.
There was a clip going around of Victor Lindelof. Did anybody watch that?
I did. Yeah, it was quite embarrassing.
I don't know whether that was taken out of context or whether that was just a sum of his performance. Stu, you're shaking your head.
I'm like James. I just can't get into international football unless it's a tournament. So I must admit I dipped in and out, but I didn't really see much. If I'm being honest, I hear the guys, a lot of them play quite well. I hear Fred didn't play that good. Yeah, that was a bit sarcasm, yeah. By all accounts, yeah, like I said, I didn't really see a lot. I can't get up for Poland. And did we play Andorra, was it, or something like that? I mean, crikey, I can't get up for stuff like that.
Stu can't get up. That's the headline we're taking from today.
Did anyone else notice as well how we were sort of let off the hook when France played a midfield two of Pogba and Camavinga, and I think they drew to some absolute minnow. So I think we sort of figured that was never going to work. Fortunately now, but
we're going to discuss lineups later on. But I think it's quite interesting that Paul Pogba played. Did he play 90 minutes of every game?
Yeah.
That could be something that factors in later on. Abdel, you decided to turn up. Welcome, mate. Oh,
yeah, sorry.
I said, Abdel, you decided to turn up. Welcome, mate.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer just decided to die 5 minutes before the thing. So
that's fine, mate. Right, so let's dive straight into this game then. James, I'll start with you. Newcastle, what do you expect from them? What sort of game are you expecting?
Not an easy one. I don't think it ever is against Newcastle for some reason. I think Newcastle could have at times been probably the worst team in the league, and they've still shown up against United. So it's always going to be a tough game. I think we notoriously make it hard for ourselves at home against Newcastle as well. Thinking back to that Mourinho game where Alexis Sanchez bailed us out in the last minute, that was heart racing. But it's not going to be an easy game. It's a talented squad. I think it would be doing a lot better if it didn't have a certain gnome-looking man in charge. But yeah, there's definitely going to be strengths to their side. But I think with the squad we've got, we shouldn't be facing too many problems. I think that we face problems if we play ourselves into danger. Which, if Fred is eventually available, we could.
Stu, we've had a few tricky games against Newcastle in the past, whether that's been at Old Trafford or away from home. Why do you think that is? Do you think that's just because, again, they're just up for it against United, or is there something that we're sort of susceptible to against them?
No, teams definitely turn up for us. I mean, if you look at Newcastle starting the season, they've got 1 point out of 3. I kind of like Newcastle, actually. I know the fans don't like Brucey, but you can and ah about which manager could take Newcastle to the next level, because many have tried and many have failed. So I think you've got to get a bit of stability and a bit of longevity in the hot seat there, really. But in terms of, James is right, actually. They've got some really exciting talent. I mean, I was always liked Almiron. I know he's a little bit lightweight. He was great at Atlanta in the MLS. He was a really strong, solid player, one of their best players. And I always thought it'd be quite difficult for him to kind of bring that to the Premier League. He has struggled in times, but when he's on his game, he's a bit like he's just got a bit of a wizard of a left foot, and I do quite like him. But Sam Maximan's the one. He is the Adama Traore of Newcastle, and he always causes us problems. And I think if Sam Maximan's on his game, then Varane's going to have another kind of wake-up call to the Premier League. He's already had it with Traore, and he's going to get it with Sam Maximan. The biggest issue for us is, I think, the movement of Callum Wilson. Now, he's a unfashionable number 9, but he's a very, very good number 9. He's an intelligent number 9. And if Sam Maximan can deliver, he will cause Maguire and Varane issues. Apart from that, with and correct me if I'm wrong, fella, but I think you play a 3-5-2.
That's right. Well, 5-3-2, more 3-5-2 in attack.
Oh, okay.
Five at the back defensively with the 2 wing backs, but that's the way we've kind of gone. Just a quick point on there: Callum Wilson won't be available. He's out with a thigh injury for 5 weeks. So
right.
so we'll be dealing with Joe Linton or Dwight Gale up front, which
that other Brazilian fake passport we got in the Premier League, Joe Linton. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, actually, to be fair, then. If you play a 3-5-2 in attack, I think that'll be dangerous against us on Saturday. I think that'll play into our hands. I think we'll be super quick on the counter-attack, providing we can soak up the pressure. But no, it's always a tough game. Every club that comes to Old Trafford raises their game. Goalkeepers tend to have worldies. I don't know whether you've got Woodman still between the sticks or whether De Bradford's back. Is it Woodman still, is it?
It's still Woodman. De Bradford's going to be out for a while. So
he's a youngster, isn't he? Is he 18, 19?
Yeah. He did pretty well. He was on loan at Swansea last season, and he won the Golden Glove there. So he's a promising prospect, that's for sure. I certainly like what I've seen of him so far. Some of the fans are a bit and ah just because of obviously the start we've had and the goals conceded, but I don't think that's necessarily his fault. Sorry, more the fact the defenders in front of him that have caused the problems, and we've been the architects of our own downfall at the back, especially.
Yeah. Ben, just while we're on the subject, we've had to. Bloody hell! I genuinely hate hosting sometimes. Anyway, Stu and James have said it's going to be a difficult game. Now, why is it that you feel so sort of unconfident while these two sort of think that maybe you can pull something off? Why do you think there's that disconnect? Is there something that we're missing?
I've been to 2 out of the 3 first games. The first game against West Ham, I don't want to say I didn't know quite what to expect, but you think new season, maybe things have progressed. There's been, some sort of a change there. They've improved. We got obviously beat off by a good West Ham side, and I think as the season goes on, most teams are meant to get progressively better, whereas I think we've been getting progressively worse. The Southampton game, the third game of the season, obviously before the international break, that was the first half especially was probably the worst half of football I've ever seen at St James's Park. Just there's nothing about them. 10, 11 men behind the ball, trying to make it difficult for them and just allowing them to have possession. I think with the quality that you guys have got now, I think especially with that certain Portuguese fella, it could be a field day for Man United, especially because, as you talked about, Stu, with the 3-5-2 and the wing backs pushing up high, it's Jacob Murphy and it's Matt Ritchie. They're not the most competently good defensively. The more of a threat going forward. I mean, I've been reading in front of me. Matt Ritchie's created the most chances going forward for us. He's second in the Premier League with 10, but defensively, absolute nightmare. So Sancho and whoever plays in that wide position, I think they'll have a field day, to be perfectly honest, to be realistic.
I've got a quick question.
How bad you think it is? It's not worse than Arsenal.
Yeah, true. I've got a quick question for you. Old Prime Shelby always turns up against stuff occasionally.
Hang on a minute, Stu. Fuck Shelby. Is there a Longstaff going to be playing, Ben?
Well, I was about to say Longstaff always scores it, so we always get Prime Shelby, Perlo Shelby as we call him, and we always get a Longstaff goal, don't we? Whether it's Matty, whether it's the other dude. So are any of those two injured, or by any chance?
Shelby's injured. Sean Longstaff will be playing. That's what I've got in my predicted lineup, anyways. I think Almiron won't be available either because of that thing with FIFA where, the Premier League clubs haven't released them to red list countries. He was a part of it, so Paraguay are going to go after us for that. Yeah, so it's going to be... I've got a midfield three of Willock, Hendrick and Longstaff. So that's going to be very fun to watch.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, we'll get into your key in a minute.
Whoa, okay. Crikey. Bloody hell.
Jeff Hendrick from Burnley. We'll get into that in a minute. Abdel, when you look at Newcastle, in terms of system, they're pretty basic, really, aren't they? I mean, they're not going to pull any surprises on us, I don't think. What do you expect in terms of that sense?
From us or from them?
Both. Okay.
Well, from Newcastle, the usual, really, either a 4-4-2 or the 3-5-2. They'll never go far away from those two systems, really. And usually the people who cause us troubles are San Maximum, or like the last game they played us at Old Trafford. San Maximum was the danger man for them, and Almiron, because Almiron is one of those players. He might not have the best technical qualities and creativity in the world, but he puts in a shift for Newcastle every time he plays. At least every time I've seen Newcastle play, Almiron has always impressed me. So if these two guys don't have a good game for Newcastle, then Newcastle have nothing going forward, really. Even as I respect Callum Wilson as a striker, but with Maguire and Varane at the back, I don't think he should cause us any trouble at all. But other than that, I don't see them doing anything except trying to shut us out, really. Just try to be as defensively stable as they can be. From our side now,
I'll hold you on that. I'm going to get into that in a second. We'll go into Newcastle's key men. Obviously, they're going to be missing Callum Wilson. Ben, we'll go on him first. How big of a miss is he going to be?
Massive. We've played 3 games. We haven't done too well in all of them. Only picking up 1 point from all 3. But out of all 3 games, he's always looked so positive. He's like Stu said earlier, he's a proper number 9 that can make it hard for centre backs. Holds up the ball. He's got pace. Poacher in the box. It's going to be a massive miss because as we've seen from the likes of Joe Linton and Dwight Gale, they haven't really proven themselves in the Premier League. Whereas, despite the injuries he's had, Callum Wilson's always looked to be that goal scorer, whether it be for Bournemouth or ourselves. It's going to be a massive miss up the top of that pitch.
Yeah, and in terms of the other attacking options you've got, obviously you've got St. Maximin, who you absolutely adore. We recognise him as a dangerous player, but I mean, I'm looking at his stats last season. He didn't do great, but obviously the team itself didn't do great. Tell us what is so dangerous about him, because when you look at his stats, some people might just look at stats and go, "Well, he's not done a lot." Tell us why he's so good.
Well, first on that point, obviously, you look at his stats. I mean, we were plagued by COVID. He was out for about 2 months in the winter months for about 2 months with that, and obviously he's picked up knocks here and there, which is probably why you're looking at summer transfer window. Nobody's tried to sign him or nobody's picked him because they thought, good flashy player. He's great on the ball, 1v1, but that injury record. But onto your point there, he's the vocal point of our team. He's the one that you rely on him to drag your team up the pitch, and he can create a chance out of nothing. essentially, obviously, what you're looking like Jadon Sancho's and your other wingers in the Premier League, he's just got that bit of class that, you know, any defender in the league, 1v1 against him, you won't want it. You will not want to be 1v1 against him, otherwise it'll just make you look stupid.
Yeah, I think the problem for me with Saint-Maximin, he's a bit of an enigma. He's very much like Traore. You don't know what you're going to get with him. And for me, he will take 6 or 7 touches, or he'll try and twist and turn a defender 6 or 7 times before getting the crossing. Now, luckily, Callum Wilson's kind of prepared for that, so he always stays firm. But whether he does that to allow your midfield to come in behind him and flood the box, I've not really seen that, so I don't know. Or whether he just feels that he's got that technical ability, as you quite rightly said, and same with you, Abdel, and you, James. You didn't say that, Karthik, but everyone else did. He feels that he can do that and surprise the likes of Luke Shaw or the likes of Wan-Bissaka. But for me, you've got to get him on his right. I know he's a right foot, but you've got to kind of keep him on his right and try and push him away from the 18-yard box rather than allow him to come in. And when he turns away from it, your first or your second time, there's your chance. And defenders don't snap at him. But if a defender snaps at him, I think it will put him off his game. And so I'm hoping that Luke Shaw won't allow him to twist and turn 2 or 3 or 4 times. He's at him 1 or 2. And I think once you nullify Saint-Maximin, you nullify although Shelvey's not playing, a Perlo Shelvey, you don't have, without Callum Wilson and Almiron, then you don't really have a lot to offer, because Matt Ritchie's a functional player, but that's all he is. He's a functional player. And I think that's unfortunately with your ownership, they haven't allowed you to build a more, not just a functional squad, but more exciting squad, which is a bit of a shame, really, because the fan base that you have up there, it deserves better from that point of view. But I don't know what your thoughts are about Saint-Maximin, but that's how I look at it. That's how I would deal with him.
Sorry, go on.
Go on. Sorry, you make your point, and then I'll go.
No, I mean, I was just going to make a point on, you said the transfer business. I mean, 100%, that's been the biggest, thing that Newcastle fans have been upset about this past transfer window, is that with Callum Wilson's now out, Miguel Almiron's now out, who do we have to back that up? Because we know Dwight Gale can't do it. We know Joe Linton's been unreliable. We don't have Ryan Fraser. He picks up too many knocks. He's out again for this game. Who do we have to back him up? And unfortunately, proof is in the pudding. He hasn't backed in the transfer window, and there we go. We're left short again.
I was just going to ask a question to you, Ben, actually, because I was reading recently. It's going to sound a bit long-winded, but when Newcastle signed Asprilla in 1995, and I think that the reason I think he actually made them worse, didn't he, as a team, because no one else knew what he was going to do. He was so unpredictable. Players just couldn't get on the same wavelength as him. Do you think that's happening the same now with Saint-Maximin, because he's technically quite far ahead of a lot of your players? Do you think they're just not capable of predicting what he's going to do?
I think you're spot on, James, there with that. I mean, especially in the Southampton game when I watched it a few weeks back, he was trying some stuff, whether it was tricks or trying to get past the defender or playing a certain pass. He was just getting frustrated with his teammates. You could just see there'd be 5-yard passes that players like Matt Ritchie and Murphy would just try and play up to him, and they wouldn't have the quality of pass to even get there, like even a simple 5-yard pass, and just see in his body language him just getting really frustrated because they're not on his level. Not to disrespect anybody else in our team, but we all know he's the talisman. He's the one with the quality and the class to make us a better team.
Right, so we've talked about Saint-Maximin, but cheers, Stu.
I was just going to say, surely that's a problem for Saint-Maximin, though, because he's got to be the one that's saying, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is my game. I need you here, here, and here. I talk about it all the time on this channel about, I'm not going to use the phrase player intelligence because Karthik will laugh at me, but this is actually what it comes down to. It's looking and knowing and gambling sometimes, and you guys don't gamble. There's only Callum Wilson that will gamble up there. Joe Linton will kind of languidly jog in there when he's playing. And for such a big man, what a disappointment as a number 9, real disappointment. But you guys don't do that. And if Saint-Maximin's got a problem with that, then he's got to be more vocal. He's got to be vocal to your squad and say, look, I need you here. When I'm 20 yards away from the 18-yard box, I need you 10 yards in front of me. or at least alongside me, so that when I am breaking my neck to get right, someone's going to be there. It's communication.
100%.
Stu never talks about that. Right, we've spoken about Saint-Maximin, but there's a player that I think goes pretty. I mean, hang on, I'll wait. There we go. You know what? It's the waiting that kills me. The waiting for me to get back in. There's a player that I think gets not enough credit because he gets credit from Newcastle fans, but doesn't really get it from anyone else. I think Joe Willock's a very underrated player. Abdel, what do you think about him? Do you think he could be a danger against us?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's really upped up his game when he got his move to Newcastle last season, and I was actually surprised, to be honest, with him because I think Joe, the things that he lacked at Arsenal was his composure in the box, and when he moved to Newcastle, that burden or pressure or whatever you want to call it on his shoulder and his mind got just released, and he was able to play his actual football and he see what he can actually do when he moved. So he definitely can be a danger man, and he's very slick and he's quick. He's not also slow, so it could be a problem for Maguire, but I think Varane could cover well if, for example, he got away from Maguire. So yeah, he'd be one of those that I would look out for if I was preparing against Newcastle, for sure.
Ben, what do you think is the biggest problem that he'll cause us?
I just think the biggest problem, obviously, is box to box, his presence in the opposition penalty area. Obviously, we haven't seen that at the start of the season, his sharpness that he normally has, because I don't think he's had many minutes at Arsenal. The transfer to ourselves was very late on in the transfer window. So, but it's there. He scored 7 in 7 towards the end back in the last season. He's a goal scoring midfielder, and out of the 3 we normally have up top in that counter attack, he adds that he's that fourth person who can help provide a quality of pass or score a goal or create a chance. He's a very threatening presence to have in our team, and when he gets sharper and when he gets better, and as the games go on, I think he'll be more and more of a threat. We'll be back to that Joe Willock we saw towards the back end of last season.
Yeah, we'll get in towards the build-up towards the game itself and how United can break you down. Let's just read some of the comments really quickly. Make sure you're liking the video. Please keep commenting. Any other questions? Hang on a minute. Right. Question to James. Are you happy Lord Voldemort ain't playing? James is looking like.
I wish that was funny. I really do. I really want to laugh, but I can't. It's physically impossible.
I saw another comment that I have to address. Where is it? Hang on. I can't find it now. Where is it? There we go. Phil Jones was training with the lads today. Watch out Newcastle. And that gives me a good chance to plug very quickly our movement here at All for United. Hashtag Phil Jones in the 6. Make sure we keep it going. Tweet us with @All for United and hashtag Phil Jones in the 6. Use my Twitter as well, @MrCatShaw. Notice how
the worst bit about that is of all the time and effort I've spent into making like things on Photoshop, and that is the most widely respected thing I've made. It's a disgrace.
Notice how my internet didn't lag during that.
No, I know. I'll say one thing. He looked fit. He looked strong. Did Phil Jones? He looked strong.
Oh, you've had that fit. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
he looks strong and fit. So who knows?
Anyway, right, let's get into how United can go at Newcastle. How can we cause them some problems? Now, Fred obviously looks like he can't play, so there's been a lot of discussion in the week. James, I'll go to you first. What should our midfield be? Do you think it should be Nemanja Matic in the 6? Do you think it should be a pivot of Matic and Van de Beek? Do you think it should be Phil Jones in the 6? What do you think? Go for it.
It's so hard to say because I don't know whether McTominay's going to be back, and even if he is, if he's going to be fully fit.
Let's assume he's not, because I don't think he's going to be fully fit.
He's not going to be fit, no.
The options are tough because, again, we have this dream of a Matic and Van de Beek pivot, but I don't actually know whether it would work. Where are your legs in midfield? Van de Beek's not exactly a speedster. He's not full of energy either. He's more of a Juan Mata type of player where he sort of finds space and plays that way rather than using physical attributes. But yeah, Matic is questionable. I get he'd probably be all right against Newcastle, providing they don't press him at all or try and attack. But picking the lines, I suppose Matic, there's not many midfielders better than Matic. So that could be an option. But yeah, I'm sort of worried about the selection because I don't actually know how well Matic and Van der Beek will work together.
Just a quick question on Van der Beek. What it's to any of you guys? What do you actually expect from him if he comes into the starting 11? Because we didn't see much of him last season. It was limited to bench appearances in Europe or cup competitions or whenever he could get minutes. What do you actually expect to see out of him if he gets into the starting 11?
Before Stu tells us he's a number 6, Abdel, answer that question.
Oh, yeah. Why throwing it at me? No,
Because I know you'll answer sensibly.
the thing is, our midfield is causing me headaches every day and nightmares. And what I expect from him is different from what I think we will see of him. What I expect from him is the player that I know he can be in terms of what he does best, which is finding space, late runs into the box, scoring actually, or assisting goals. But what we're expecting from him right now, depending on the situation we're in, because Bruno is never going to get dropped for some reason, is...
Might be something to do with him being good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not the only reason you get, put on the bench. But anyway, it's just a connection between the defense and attack. So if Van de Beek can play that 8 role, which, again, I do not think is the best position for him, but because we do need it at the moment, I think he can fill a gap there at the moment. Matic can cover him, and he doesn't have to cross the halfway line to cover him. But since Newcastle will be that deep, that's what I expect. So probably stay over the shadow of the halfway line for Matic. But other than that, I don't see how he's gonna enter that team. Because my hope is he not replaces, but shares with Bruno the 10. But we don't play to his strength either. So it's not a matter of just remove Bruno and put Donny and it all is going to work the same. It does not work that way because we don't play the way that gets the best out of Donny van de Beek or a player like Donny van de Beek. So 2 options for me at the current state of how United plays is either you put him wide, which we're stacked in, the positions at wide, we're stacked in those, or you put him in one of the pivots. And yeah, that's what I expect, at least going forward from him.
Go on, Stu, I'll let you jump in.
Look, Donny divides opinion, and me and Abdel share differing views of this, but we kind of agree that what he can offer the team as a player, we tend to agree with that. And I did read your thread, actually, the other day, Abdel, on DVB. You were talking about just try him as a 6. But you made really good points, actually, because your points are Van de Beek offers us more between the 18-yard boxes. The middle third of the pitch is where he's really dangerous because his ability to take the ball on the half turn, take the ball with his back to goal, run with the ball, not particularly quick, but run with the ball and use it intelligently, find space. He's got all the attributes to play as a 6, an 8 and a 10. He doesn't have the attributes, as Abdel's right, to play on the wings, but I think you were just making a point where to put him, and I get that and understand that. And I've said for a while, for a long time, tried Donny in the 6. And a lot of people don't agree with me, and I get that. Now, he played about 13, 14 times for Ajax in the 6. And people are steamrolling me saying the Dutch league is completely different to the Premier League. It is.
And still, it's not even the Dutch league and Premier League comparison. It's the Ajax and Manchester United comparison.
Yeah.
Those teams that play. Like, for example, I've said this before. If we are a team that consistently gets 65% and above possession, the Donny van de Beek will thrive no matter where you put him in midfield.
Absolutely.
We're not, right?
Yeah.
We're
Put him in a City team, he's meant.
Yeah, put him in a City, he'll be world class.
Yeah.
But
No,
the thing is, because of the way they play, I'm not saying because we're bad and City's good.
Exactly.
You know?
No, it's because it's Pep and a PE teacher.
Yeah, I'm saying that the problem is we are a very direct team, and I don't mean like long ball. I mean like very, the way we get the ball, we want to move it as quickly as possible, as direct as possible. Yeah. But he does not play that. He does not play that way, and that's not his way. No. So even in the deeper positions, if you've watched the way he plays, he's not the type of guy that wants to drop that deep and receive it and move. and turn and progress it. He
Correct.
wants to be the guy that finds the space, run to it, and you give me the ball there, and I'll do something with it in that area.
And that lies our issue, as you quite rightly pointed out. Who do you move out the side to accommodate Donny van de Beek at at periods in the season?
Yeah.
Why I think he's got a chance in a deeper line role is his overall play, his overall thought process. He's very methodical, as you pointed out, Abdel. He's a very methodical footballer, and he could receive the ball from Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Maguire, and utilise it. I think he can get us on the turn quicker, and I think he can get us on the attack quicker. But as Abdel quite rightly says, you've then got an issue with his discipline. And what I mean by discipline is his discipline in staying in his designated area, whereas a DM would be.
Yeah.
And that's his problem, because I think he'll venture forward and there'll be a massive hole. So currently, he needs a Matic alongside him. But if I was Donny van de Beek, I'd be looking at ways on how I could infiltrate the first 11. How can I become indispensable in that first 11? And looking at it in a minute, I'd make myself a fucking DM. I would, and that's how I would look at it. But as I say, me and Abdel, we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
I'll just see it slightly different.
I had a discussion about this earlier before the stream, and I was actually just saying exactly that. The only way I see him right now being part of the starting 11 is if he changes his style, not we change our way of playing, because that's not going to happen. So if he changes his style from that guy he wants to make late runs, find space, blah, 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 all that jazz, to a DM, then he can find a place in the starting 11. And when you were saying he's not disciplined, the biggest proof of that is when we played Watford in the FA Cup. And who played next to him also made the problem bigger, Telles. And Telles is not great defensively. So put Telles and Donny van de Beek on the same side. That side, we had no cover whatsoever. It just happened that Watford were not good finish, like going forward, that we did not get it catastrophically done on the counter. If it was Wolves, for example, you can see 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Like he's a pivot player, and you found him near the box at that game. So yeah.
Just last one on Van de Beek. Okay, just last one on Van de Beek. James, do we think that the only way he starts is if Pogba's on the left?
What, against Newcastle specifically?
Yeah.
Yes, I personally still think probably if you just make sure Pogba's disciplined, I think probably our best midfield partnership would be Matic and Pogba.
Yeah.
So realistically, I think the only way Van de Beek does get into this team is if he chooses to play Pogba on the left, because you obviously you couldn't play a pivot of Van de Beek and Pogba. That would be catastrophic. So I think Matic is almost guaranteed to start in that sense.
The way I stand on it is if you're going to play Matic and Van de Beek, you're starting a completely new pivot, and that just seems off for me. Just throw them into a Premier League fixture. I wouldn't like that, and I think playing Matic means you can go into a 4-3-3, which means
didn't they play together in the preseason, Everton?
I know, but there's only one game, wasn't it?
And I think he's tried them a couple of times together, especially Matic and Van de Beek. Yeah, I think they've had a couple of games together.
Oh no, to be
Wolves away last year.
I'm not sure all the games, but I know they started together a couple of games.
They had it behind closed doors friendly as well, didn't they? And I think they played together.
I think Ollie's my thinking. I'm not sure of it, but it's been a thought in my head that he's trying that double pivot, that Matic Donny, and he's seeing when he can kind of release it. Yeah.
Potentially. I think it might be more of a cup game one now.
You see, what I don't think he wants to do now is put Pogba out on the left. I think he wants to bring Sancho in potentially on the left, whoever in the middle, and whoever on the right. And I think he wants to move away from Pogba on the left. That's the way I'm reading it. I could be wrong, but that's how I can see it. Because as Abdel just said, in a 4-3-3, to have a Matic, a Pogba, and a Bruno. I know Bruno plays slightly advanced, but when we're out of possession, he's got to be more He's got to drop slightly deeper. He's got to drop almost 20 yards back so he can receive the ball in the middle. And then our front three, whoever he chooses to spearhead, because we don't, let's face it, we know what we want, but we don't know what we're going to get. It's then important that Sancho remains and keeps his identity. And with Pogba on the left, I think you lose a little bit out of Sancho, in my humble opinion.
Right, we'll get on to that fella because we've spent 35 minutes and we've not mentioned him at all. So, Ben, I'll go to you first. The last time he played against us, he scored his only hat-trick.
Yep.
Before this game, you'd have been worried about Mason Greenwood anyway. Now you've got Cristiano Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much of a game changer is that for you?
Well, if he starts or if he comes off the bench, either way, it's massive because we know his credentials: 5 Ballon d'Ors, Real Madrid's top goal scorer, won more trophies than Newcastle have in their cabinet. He's the man, isn't he? He's the game. He can change any game when he comes onto a pitch. We saw it the other day in the international game against Ireland. They were winning 1-0, thought they'd get to a monumental victory. No, Ronnie pops up with 2 headers. He's something else to worry about, especially if health reasons over and the game is going our way. He can come onto the pitch, or he can turn it on and just change the game completely with a chance or two. It doesn't take him 2 or 3 chances. He will snatch anything that comes his way.
I think the biggest danger from Ronaldo is not just his aerial presence, but it's just his movement, and I think that's something that's very underrated at the minute. People just look at him and go, "Oh, he's just a number 9 poacher in the box," and that's it. But I think I'd love to get a point across without lagging. I think his movement is probably one of his biggest assets at the minute. But again, do we have any hope that maybe we'll get a few more headed goals now with Ronaldo in the team? Because I feel like that's what we've been missing, a proper aerial threat. And Stu, you've been banging on about this for absolute months, so you tell me.
Well, without doubt. I mean, look, that guy, how he's adapted himself to spring and hold himself in the air, split second, 1/10 of a second longer than a defender. I can't. Nobody knows. I don't think anyone could tell how he does it. He did it again for his second goal in Portugal against Ireland. He was up and he was hanging there a good 1/10 of a second longer than anyone else to get his header. I think if we can get our crossing right and pinpoint, then I think he's gonna get a hatful of goals, headed, left, right. I think he's going to score a multitude of different goals. What I would say is this. What I would say is that there's a lot of jealousy around from rival fans, rival clubs, pundits, etc., and they're kind of writing Ronaldo off, and that's unacceptable because when you look at him,
sorry, Slabbert,
as a man, you look at him as an individual. You look at him already. There were still stories at Juventus where, on his first day there, the players were going to get there an hour early. He'd already been there an hour before they got there, and he's done that throughout his career. And he's probably done the same at Old Trafford already. When the kids have strolled in, Ronaldo's probably been there for an hour, working out or doing something. He knows and understands what it does to win. And I'm telling you something for nothing, guys. He's not coming to not win the Premier League. He's going to want that Premier League this year. He's going to want it. He's going to want a cup as well, either Champions League or FA Cup. I know, well, he is. I mean, look, if I was playing in the side, somebody raised a really good question, and he said, "Do you think our players will play the occasion?" The answer to that is no, because there's no way Ronaldo will allow them to play the occasion. You've just got to play the game of football. And that's it. But he is coming here to win. He's not coming to retire. He's not coming to pick up a paycheck. He's coming to win.
21.
And you can screen that up, Connor.
21 is coming.
It is.
No, Abdel, I do want to ask you this question because there is a chance that this goes horribly wrong, right? And part of the reason Juve were okay with letting him go was because he sort of limits them in the way they play. Do you think there's a risk of that happening with us?
There is always a risk, but the thing is with, players like Ronaldo and Messi, the only negative about them is that what they do off the ball, right? So for Messi, for example, because Barcelona have always been so undisputedly dominant on the ball, he can do whatever he wants. You know, he's a right winger, but he's never been a right winger. He's been like a centrally, an 8, a left winger, a striker. He's been all of them. Same thing with Ronaldo. But of course, that deteriorated as he grew older. Like before, he was doing a job off the ball. Now, more and more, he becomes less really, influential off the ball. So this is the games where you worry a little bit. So when you want to press, when you want to defend, how much is Ronaldo's going to give you? These are the only things you will worry about from Ronaldo's output. And but when you have the ball and he's in the box, that's the greatest advantage you can ever get from a player like Ronaldo. The other thing is the problem is that I see that happens when you have players like these also is that they focus on them. So all the players is kind of like, how do we get the ball to this guy? You know what I mean? And that's, I think, the problem that happened with Juventus. Juventus started disregarding a lot of players just to get the best out of Ronaldo alone.
To be fair, we did that with Bruno last season.
But Bruno was in the center. Bruno wasn't the guy in the front or the guy wide. You know what I mean? And Bruno was the creator, not the finisher as well. And you will always come unstuck when you're relying on one person anyway. So in games where Bruno was completely man-marked and shut out of a game, United collapsed, as in creativity-wise. So the more you rely on one person, the worse you are, not the better you are. And that's the only worry you can have with a signing like Ronaldo. Are we going to change all the way or tell all our players to, hey, Ronaldo, you have to give him the ball. Hey, Ronaldo, you have to cross the ball from. Change the way you play so that Ronaldo can benefit. You know what I mean? No, I don't think Oli will allow that, but I
agree. He won't.
Yeah, but I hope not.
I think we're too dynamic up front, actually. I hear what you say about Juventus, Abdel, but they're not as dynamic, I think. I think when you've got the likes of Sancho and Greenwood, just say it's those three that start Saturday. I think you're going to see a complete, not a difference in the way that we play, but I think we'll get the ball up to Greenwood and Sancho a lot quicker so that they can utilise Ronaldo. But we've been crying out for that for ages anyway with Cavani up top, so it won't be a huge change, I don't think.
Yeah, and this is also, I think, just a small point to add. I think this is also why Ronaldo was accused of taking Juventus down. It's not because of Ronaldo himself, it's because of how Juventus played around Ronaldo. You know what I mean? Because Juventus don't have a Kroos or a Modric to always consistently create for Ronaldo to finish. So if Ronaldo plays, with no disrespect, but against a Newcastle and scores 5 goals, right? And then he comes up against an Atletico Madrid Atletico Madrid not the best example, but I mean against a Bayern or a PSG or a City, if they just know how to cancel Ronaldo out, maybe he'll get you the odd goal, but the overall of the game you will lose because you're relying only on Ronaldo. And that's the problem teams face with someone like a Ronaldo, like a Messi. Liverpool defeated Barcelona that game because they just focused on shutting Messi down as much as possible. That's it.
Interesting. Brown Knight has been watching our previous show. James, well done, mate. You did a great interview, apparently. And they made the same point. If you've not seen it, go check it out. James, while I've got you, before we go into our final bits of the section, sex? What? No. Speaking of sex, Cristiano Ronaldo started on Saturday, hopefully. How excited are you going to be, and how good is his reception going to be outside of football outside of anything like that? How good is it going to be seen in front of a full Old Trafford? How's it going to be?
I think it's going to be probably better than Varane's. I imagine. I think the only thing that downplays it a little bit is we've known about it for so long now. Obviously, the excitement's not gone, but it's not it's not quite the Varane levels of surprise. But I think as soon as he takes to that pitch, I don't think anyone will experience an atmosphere in Old Trafford like it, other than maybe, I don't know, that Scholes goal against Barcelona or whatever. But yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be mental. But yeah, I'm just good. I can't be down there. I think it's sort of a once in a lifetime thing to go and see this game.
To be fair, though, I think it's going to be like this throughout the whole season. I don't think it's just limited to Newcastle. I think anytime Ronaldo's in the building, you're going to get that atmosphere, and I think that's the best thing about having it. Brown, now you're absolutely right. Ronaldo hat trick, and my pants will be firmly off, probably by the second goal. I'm not going to lie. Let's get into predicted lineups. I hope no one's clicked that because they'll actually take it for granted. Predicted lineups. No, wait. Before I do that, Ben, how scary is our bench going to be? Because even if you deal with Ronaldo or whoever starts, you've got Cavani, you've got the likes of them on the bench.
That's it. I mean, that's probably what you would say. Well, what I've heard you say before is what you've been lacking over the past few years is that depth, like you have with Man City, Chelsea. Them teams have got that scary amount of depth. Now you can argue that Man United have got it as well. So if you come up against the players that are starting on the pitch, you don't just have them to think about. Sorry, if the game's going your way, they've got so many world-class players you can bring off the bench, including one Cristiano Ronaldo, depending if he starts or not.
I think he's going to start. You can't not start him. Ollie's not that mean. Right, we'll go into our predicted 11 then, and then obviously we'll see what Newcastle are likely to put out. I'm assuming our back five is not going to change. So De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire. Sure, I don't think there's any arguments there. Interesting decision in the midfield. Are we? Oh, hang on, we'll wait until my internet allows me to ask the question. There we go. Midfield, what are we thinking? Is it going to be a pivot? Is it going to be a single six? What are we thinking? Anyone?
I'm thinking it will be Matic and Pogba. Although I expect somehow Scott McTominay or Fred will start, and I don't know how, but they will.
Fred.
I don't think
there's no way he's actually Brazilian.
Yeah, I don't think McTominay's fit, is he? Is he fully fit?
But that doesn't matter. He wasn't fit against Southampton, and he still came on.
I expect the Brazilian players to be able to play, actually, because City and Liverpool, Liverpool lose 3 of their first teamers, don't they? In Ireland, I can't see that'll go through. That these Brazilians can't play. It's just the way I look at it. So unfortunately, I would say it's going to be Fred.
There's no unfortunately when it comes to Fred. Right? Fred is incredible. I'm joking. He's
Sorry.
I do like Fred sometimes. I just don't think he should be starting every week. No, for me, I think Matic does start because I don't think Ollie will take any risks. I think he'll just go with Matic. But when Matic starts, I don't think Van der Beek gets in because I think when Ollie starts Nemanja Matic, he sees him as a single six. And then he can play his game. Yeah. So I personally think it's going to be Matic, Pogba, Bruno. I don't know if there's any disagreements with that.
I wouldn't disagree with it.
Just a quick point to make on that. With the Nemanja Matic, during the past 2, I don't know if you'd agree with this, 2 seasons, I'd say he's been out of favour with Man United. He's obviously been that more service player that's come in. Like I said, with Van der Beek in those games where you might play in the cup or it might not necessarily be the biggest of occasions. How come he's come back into favour so suddenly? What's changed that he's now making his way into that starting 11 all of a sudden?
Fred's terrible and we don't have a 6.
He's not. Just we don't have options.
He's not options. Yeah.
That's purely
simple as that.
Plus, and Ollie's not seen my tweets about Phil Jones yet, so.
No, clearly.
So, remember when you were saying Man United have now depth in attack and have depth and they can compete with City and Chelsea? Yeah, we do. But when it comes to midfield, we are considerably do not have that much of a depth. Yeah.
Yes, we do. You just refuse to see it.
No.
That's all I'm saying. Anyway, no, this is going to be interesting. Front 3, what are we thinking? United's front 3 on Saturday. Because I've gone for Sancho, Ronaldo, Greenwood.
Do you think it's that?
I'd have to agree with you.
I'd agree. Yeah.
I would go for a Pogba, Cavani, Greenwood.
So Van der Beek gets in your midfield. Cavani, hang on a minute.
Yeah. What?
Not starting the main man.
No, I'm not.
The new 21.
Hang on. Surely, if Ronaldo's not starting, Mason has to start in the 9.
I mean, he's been doing a good job off the right too. So Mason starts just because of his form.
Yeah, I think Varane start in the 9 in the 9 position. Yeah, if Ronaldo didn't play. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not asked. I love Cavani anyway, so it's not like
it's great. It's great.
Yeah. The thing is, with Pogba on the left and Bruno in the 10, you will not really need the double pivots to do a lot of work up top. So that's my thinking, at least.
Well, we've got majorities, so it's Sancho, Ronaldo, and Greenwood. So fuck off, Abdel, you boring bastard. Ronaldo started and scored a hat trick. Comments, let us know what your predicted lineup is. Do you think Cavani's going to start? Do you think Ronaldo's going to come off the bench, get even bigger ovation maybe? Connor says he's got a big question, but I don't know what that big question is.
What is the big question?
Will we see Phil Jones? Probably not. He's going to play in the Champions League on Tuesday.
Why not?
Drop a 10 out of 10 against Young Boys.
He's probably going to play in the cup game. I think we might actually see Phil Jones in that game. No joke. I think we might actually see
Carabao Cup.
Yeah. Not in the 6, but I think he will play. Go on, Ben. Give us.
Actually, Karthik, just before, how many times has Jones actually played in the 6? Is it twice?
I can count 3, maybe 4.
Well, there you go then.
I believe. Hang on a minute. No, I think it might be. I don't know. He's played against Real Madrid. He played in the midfield. He played once in the league against. Yeah. Was it Blackburn? I think he might have been Blackburn. That was under Sir Alex, and then he played one more under Jose in midfield.
So I don't think it was that many, but he's done it.
Anyway, go on, Ben. Give us Newcastle's predicted lineup. What should we be expecting?
Predicted lineup similar to what we said at the start: 5-3-2 in defence, 3-5-2 in attack. Woodman in goal. Wing backs: Murphy and Ritchie, the 2 incompetent wing backs. That is. Fernandes, Lascelles, and Shah. I think Lascelles is one to watch out for, especially for Ronaldo and Fernandes, because he's made the 2 mistakes that have given 2 out of 3 the penalties this season. Yeah. Then midfield 3, Willock, Longstaff, and then I think it'll either be Almiron or Hendrick. It depends on whether Paraguay are going to be dicks and you try and get him suspended for that game. Then up top, it's the GOAT, Joe Linton, and St. Maximin.
Right. Apparently, when he scores, I mean, when the fuck has that happened? Apparently, they call him Golinton. Thoughts?
The admin do.
No, I've physically heard you say that. So,
okay, if Joe Linton scored Saturday, we got a problem. A massive problem, haven't we, Ben?
You might want to check for Ram for COVID if he's scoring.
I think we will do. Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Karthik, ask everyone who takes the penalties. I mean,
Bruno.
Ronnie.
Oh, well, that's because Ronaldo's not in your team, is he, Abdel?
That's Bruno always. He has a higher percentage than anyone else in the world.
To be
Bruno
fair,
takes them until he misses.
I think Bruno takes the pens, but I don't think he's getting.
Bruno is actually a freak when it comes to penalties. He's probably one of the fewest people to have a conversion rate of like 93 and above.
He's up there with Jorginho, isn't he?
Yeah, Ronaldo is 83, something like that, 84. So he's still above average. But I would go for Bruno.
Yeah, I think Bruno keeps the pens, but I have a feeling if a free kick comes about, Ronaldo's going, fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they've spoken about it in training and gone, you can have the pens, but I get the free kicks.
I think they've probably already spoken about it. It was something that they will have discussed.
But that's probably one of the things Bruno told him when telling him to sign. Let's be honest.
Is it possible we get to a situation where Ronaldo sort of hasn't scored in his first 3 or 4 games and we get a penalty and he's on the pitch and they sort of just give it him out of sympathy?
No, we're not Arsenal.
No. but plus, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, Ronaldo in his first 3 games, Ronaldo's going to already have about 6 goals.
Yeah. I think I actually want to make a point about Sancho because you guys put him in your starting 11. I think Sancho, out of all the other signings, will take the most to integrate.
Yeah, I think he needs.
It'll take a lot of time to getting grips with everyone and how they play and know what they're doing and connect with them.
Yeah.
So everyone just need to calm down a little bit on his performances.
Basically, I'd say give him the amount of time Havertz has had. That's the level of time that you need to give Sancho. And I think you see the real him. But even then, it's been like 2 sub-appearances and 1 start. People calm down, man.
And Ollie can't get the best out of him, and he's been shit for us.
He's playing safe, isn't he, at the minute, Sancho? He's playing safe.
Yeah, he's testing waters. He said it in his latest interviews. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how the guys are playing, and going on, a similar wavelength with Greenwood and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'm like, okay, wow, okay, good. Good that he said it too. So yeah,
exactly. That's the same with Varane. I made that point about Varane after the Wolves match. He made a point about he was surprised on how quick and intense the Premier League was. I was talking about that before him coming, if you guys remember. So I was quite pleased that not because I was speaking about it. I was pleased that he brought it up, because a bit like Sancho talking about in his interview just recently, that you've got somebody who understands what it's like to move teams, what it's like to move countries, what it's like to move leagues. So it's really important, that is. Really
but I think that the challenges are different though, because the way we play up top is a bit loose and free with Oli in the terms of our attacking ways is different, but the role that Varane is getting slotted in is exactly the same role he used to play at Real Madrid, and I don't mean the position as in center, the way and the roles that he's responsible for. Maguire for him is the Ramos, because Ramos is the guy that used to take the ball out from the back and carry it, and he's the one to go up and intercept, and Varane has to cover him. So it's almost to a T the same exact roles that he has to fulfill. It's just that, like he said, the intensity is a bit different, so that shocked him a little bit.
Yeah,
it should be all right. I don't think we should have too many problems. Jarvis thinks Ronaldo. Oh, hang on. Still lagging. Yeah, right. Jarvis thinks Ronaldo is going to start on the bench because we have Champions League in Switzerland on Tuesday, potentially. And obviously, you can't have a Champions League game and not start Cristiano Ronaldo because he basically owns that tournament. So, you can't do it. Let's have some score predictions then. James, let's go score predictions and goal scorers.
I'll go 3-1 because I just don't think we have the capability of keeping a clean sheet unless we're playing Wolves. But I'll go Ronaldo, and Ronaldo.
Just out of interest, is Joe Linton scoring for Newcastle?
No.
Carl Darlow's coming off the bench and scoring a header.
Yeah.
Right then. Stu, yours?
We won't concede, and we will probably score. I'm sorry, Ben, but we'll probably score a hatful. I think we'll probably win 5-0.
Oh dear. Scorers?
I'm going to go, believe it or not, I'm going to go with Bruno, Ronaldo. I think Sancho on net, and Greenwood will get a couple. It will be a really tough game, but I actually think we'll...
A tough game, but we'll score 7. According to
I do think we'll score.
Dude, come on, man.
I do think we'll probably huff and puff in the first half, maybe going 1-0. But I think over the course of the game, you're very weak, Newcastle are. I think we've got enough. I didn't realise at the start of the show just what you were potentially missing. I didn't know Wilson was missing, for example. And if you've got Joe Linton up top, well, it's like having Andy Carroll up top, isn't
Andy
it?
Carroll is far better than any other striker that they have right now.
Yeah, I know, but come on, that Cartos, he scored one in about 90, didn't he? Joe Linton's the same. So I just feel that we've got, as the second half pattern unfolds, I think we'll steamroll it. I'm sorry, but I think it'll be 5-0.
No. I think go on.
Abdel, your score prediction.
Seeing the confidence in the comments and the score lines everyone is putting,
it's gonna be
I am not so confident anymore. I'm like, I 2-1 for me. I'm good enough.
Who's scoring?
Well, a win's a win, innit?
Cavani and Greenwood.
Because he's so boring. Doesn't start him. He doesn't give him a goal. Nothing. Right,
on,
Ben, what do you reckon? Go on, do it. Predict to win.
Like you just said a moment ago, if you offered it to me now, I'd take a 0-0.
So you don't have any hope of winning this?
No.
Set pieces, come on. We're shit on set pieces. You can get something out of it.
Yeah, I think either Joe Willock or San Maximum will get a goal for you guys.
If we were to score, it'd be any one of them two. Nobody else is scoring.
Poor Ben. Right, loads of score predictions. Let me read some of them out. Brown Knights has 6-0. Ugly Bear thinks for some reason he's predicting other teams. But Daniel James will score for Leeds and T. Chong.
Newcastle is winning at this rate.
Oh no. Slabhead says 5-0 goals from short. Of course, he's predicted Maguire to score. Ronaldo with 2 in Greenwood. Brown Knight says a CR7 hat trick. Bruno penalty. Greenwood and Cavani off the
Ooh, bloody hell.
bench. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hope we get Sancho going against Newcastle. Modest 3-0. Respect Eric Ramsey, Carthen. Yeah, no, but
Eric Ramsey.
Stu's going to go
yeah.
wrong otherwise.
The set piece coach, yeah. Right. Fucking hell.
Right, let me give you my prediction. Right, let me think. Right, in fact, am I going to be sensible about this?
Are you ever
Or
sensible?
am I going to be me? Right, okay. United are going to start Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay,
Calm down. No,
obviously. He's going to play about an hour. That's it. He'll come off about 65 minutes. And by the time he comes off at 65 minutes, he'll have had 2 goals. He'll be fuming because he's been brought off without a hat-trick, which will push him on to score about 4 against Young Boys on Tuesday. So he'll have 2. Mason Greenwood will get 2 himself. Bruno will score 1, and that's 5. Let's add 1 more for Jadon Sancho. That's going to be a 6-0 Manchester United win.
You're shopping in the supermarket, are you?
I'm just looking off what
Who do I
need.
want to give goals to today? I'm like, seriously?
Right. So yes, the 1 hour has flown by, Ugly Bear, and that brings us to the end of the show. Big thanks to everyone who's been on the panel tonight. Ben, thank you for joining us, of course. Go follow him on Twitter. Jesus Christ, my internet's terrible. Is he going to let me do this outro? No, probably not. Follow Ben on Twitter. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And finally, I have to end this on a very upbeat note because Abdel said Ronaldo's not playing, so I need to make this a bit, Right, it's going to be a good day on Saturday.
I just think Ollie will not start him just for shits and giggles. That's all.
Probably.
After all the hype that was happening, like, oh, Ronaldo's not starting today. Sorry.
Speaking of shits and giggles, remember this,
Hey,
everyone.
there he is, Phil Jones in the 6th.
Remember this. Go tweet me after this show. Tweet me with the link of this.
Can I just say something about our picture? How sad is it that James couldn't find an up-to-date image with him in our new shirt?
Doesn't matter. He's going to get one soon when he's playing in the 6, right?
Yeah, I can't believe that's got traction on Twitter.
This is very important, right?
It's got
Tweet
big
me.
traction.
My Twitter's here, right? You know All for United's Twitter handle. And hashtag... Not this. Which way is it? This way. This way. Phil Jones in the 6. Make sure to tweet it. Get it going. Right. Saturday's going to be a good day. Hope you're all as excited as we are. This is a fantastic comment here from Brown Knight. Hashtag Phil Jones in the 6-0. Love it. If you go into Old Trafford, send us some videos because we'd love to see what's going on. Tune into the match reaction. That'll be straight after the game. We've got more content this week. Until then, I think, James, you've got Timeline Talk on Friday, haven't you?
Probably. I don't know.
Probably. Well, that's good, isn't it? It's a good job we've not got a YouTube channel.
Oh, well, look at that. Time, really? Do I have to? Dear me. Shocking.
It's because he's just watched me host a show with lag and still be better than him. That's the problem. Don't cry, James. Don't cry. Right, let me wrap up my show in a very hyper and over the top way. Let me think. Right, yeah. So send us videos from Saturday. Make sure you get that going, and let's get an atmosphere going because it's Ronaldo coming back home. So let's get him a couple of goals, right? We're not going to concede because big bad Rafa Varane's going to play in his first home game. Jadon Sancho's starting his first game at Old Trafford, so that's essentially a goal coming on its own. So don't even worry about that. Edinson Cavani's not even played at a full Old Trafford yet. So we're going to get one from him and we get the chant going again. This is going to be a fantastic day. We're going to score 6 goals. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to walk out there. He's going to be swinging all over the place. And United are going to win the fucking league. See you later.